You can use it with Baxter Building, which is a card from the new set. This kind of lets you funnel your
Oh,
activated
you
ability
do have the
mana.
Mind Stone. I was like, where's your the Mind Stone? But there it
Oh, it's
is.
in there. It's
Yeah.
hiding. There's a lot of things in this list. You could activate your Mind Stone with it too.
Yeah.
But so the Baxter Building, you could funnel activated ability mana into real mana. So
Oh,
like
okay.
you can use the Enigma Jewel and Sunken Citadel. That's essentially
Six tech goes
tapping.
up mana. Okay, funny.
You're tapping two lands and a
Yeah.
jewel to make four.
But in the realm of casting Ugin, that might come up on time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
ramping. And then Captain Marvel, when you cast it with Flash, its power up ability costs two colorless. So you could use the Enigma Jewel and power it up
Yeah.
right away.
Two Sunken Citadels and Baxter Building. That's basically Tron.
Yeah, bro. Okay, Jacob. How many Marvel Superheroes collector boxes did you end up winning?
Olivia and I won four.
Nice.
I didn't keep track of number of attempts, but we spent $600. So
Okay, it's pretty good value.
yeah, still up like probably double, a bit more than double what we spent. But yeah, nothing like crazy.
Yeah, depending how you value it, if you're gonna open them or sell them or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because I normally love the collector box Arena Directs, and I like wanted to play this one in theory, but I ended up doing three runs, and I think I in total went like I don't know 4 and 6 or something a record, and I just kind of gave up. I had a really busy week, so like if it had been this week, I would have been able to play a lot more. But honestly, it was open for so long, I definitely could have played more. I don't know. I something about this format just wasn't feeling it. Wasn't feeling the fire. Um, how have you liked this limited format? Just kind of
I've been enjoying
personally.
it. I'm never gonna start telling myself I hate a format. I have to play the PT though.
That's
But
fair.
I think this one though, there are some annoying bombs, but the vibes are kind of that it's like a core set format where
Hmm.
it's not that synergy driven. You kind of just try to play the strongest cards you can. You can still be an aggro deck or whatever, but like, I think for example, a failure of like the archetypes in the set is like the all villains deck or the all artifacts decks don't really come together. If they do, they're not very good. Just stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I've been listening to you, obviously, and limited resources, and kind of just gathering a little bit of stuff on Twitter about how the format is. And in theory, it sounds okay. Like, it sounds like maybe the build rounds aren't great. Sounds like the colors are a bit unbalanced. But I do like some of the things like where it's just sort of a change, especially from Strixhaven, where the removal's worse and it's more creature combat esque. And
Yep.
this all sounds kind of fun in theory. I think actually what might be happening is the like theme of the set isn't really hitting with me. Like I like the art in the set and I like some individual characters, but I've never really been a huge superhero fan, especially for the world beyond a few characters.
Yeah,
So
and
that might be
yeah,
part
there's
of
just
it.
so many characters. I had to look up who Swordsman was and why he's a hero
Yeah.
villain, and like,
I mean, those are kind of fun. I don't know. I'm not sure they're clicking with me. That might be part of it. I don't know. Could just be my life at the moment too. But um, so in terms of some housekeeping, folks, over the next couple of weeks, Jacob is going to be like doing some traveling, preparing, and taking care of his family in preparation for the Modern Pro Tour, which he is attending. So we are going to miss. Our plan right now is that we're going to miss the next 2 weeks of recording, and so that sort of leaves like a lot of topics that we could potentially cover today and we weren't exactly sure what to do exactly. So we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. Jacob's been preparing in particular. He's been doing a lot of drafting to prepare for the Pro Tour in addition to playing Modern. So as not to spoil any team secrets or anything, we're not going to do a deep dive on Modern, but we're going to talk about some limited. I've been playing a lot of Standard. I've been trying to build decks with the new Marvel cards, and I actually found like some of the Marvel cards are actually pretty good and maybe even underrated. So
nice.
going to be talking about that a bit.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm curious how that'll pan out because yeah, there's seems like there could be a lot to change. We're in this weird section of the year that happened last year too, where like Standard's just not really going to have any big tournaments.
Right.
And last year, we had this whole Cauldron thing with VV come up and kind of take over everything till it got banned before Worlds. And, that might happen again. Not that I think anything in particular looks like it needs to be banned, but I just also think that like, if before Lore and Eclipse it was like that where everybody just was playing the Cub deck, I could have seen them banning Cub, but
Yeah.
then people kind of showed that wasn't necessary.
I think probably bans aren't necessary now either. I think there's probably some hidden things lurking and people are being kind of lazy with the format, probably because there's not a ton of new formats coming out. Maybe because people aren't as happy with some of the sets that are in standard. It's hard to tell. Like I haven't seen a lot of people brewing with the Marvel cards. I think some of them are pretty good. But I don't know. I could have seen maybe I was kind of hoping they would ban stuff just to give it a shake up, but I play so
Yeah,
much standard that
but my
I'm
point
getting
is
tired
just
of some of the cards.
when all the events are just these online events, I just find formats don't really change or develop. Um,
I agree.
I
I
think even RCs can kind of shake things up, to be honest. But just even paying attention to modern, I feel like there's some little things you can pay attention to, but like it still kind of blows my mind that Boros is the most played deck in modern. Like it,
Do you think this is a new thing? Like, I feel like I thought the online metagame moved faster before. Like, I almost feel like we were at some point worried about metagames getting stale because of how fast online develop things, and it's
yeah.
almost like we've stagnated for some reason.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, I don't want to, say that the people playing Magic Online are bad. I'm sure there's some strong players out there, but I feel like I never see like the people you see top eighting the Pro Tours. I don't really see them on Magic Online either. Like I
Yeah,
think they
maybe
just
they've
like
moved to
stick.
Arena.
Well, or they're just they're like playing Arena for fun, and then they're
Yeah,
testing with their teammates exclusively in 1v1s or stuff like that,
yeah.
or
Or they're like,
5-0ing leagues, or playing challenge like, or maybe they play challenges on an alted count and they are winning these challenges, but like then nobody knows that's like Javier Dominguez winning the challenge, so people don't necessarily net deck that deck or things like that.
oh, one of the things that could be happening too is I think a lot maybe of really good players are playing Arena because not so much just like constructive formats, but there's so much good like fun stakes events with directs and qualifiers and all this stuff. It's
Yeah,
funny, people talk about how the competitive Magic scene has like, gone down a bit with the Pro Tour and stuff not being what it used to be. And to some degree that's true, but we are kind of living in a pretty sweet time with Arena and playing from home and all this. Um,
yeah. There's an Arena qualifier this weekend actually. Um,
okay.
Marvel sealed. Um, I am not really expecting to play it. I'm leaving for Amsterdam on Sunday.
Yeah.
That being said, like the actual time exists for me to play it, and I guess maybe I'll play it just because I'm thinking right now actually that a lot of my team is leaving for Amsterdam like on Friday. So I won't really have people to like play Magic with anyways, so maybe I'll try to play in on a Friday.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I
I'll need
probably won't give it too many shots or things like that. Because also, instead of doing a play-in, I could do another single limb draft or something, which I've really been trying to make sure I get in like at least a single limb draft every day, things like that.
Yeah, I would say that's proven to be pretty important to play the for Pro Tour players, it seems like to play in pod drafts rather than
Yeah,
Arena.
exactly. Not only there's just the most, it has the highest density of Pro Tour players in those drafts, and also, yeah, it's the only way to play in pod online, um, but without arranging it yourself with other people, which people do on the Pro Tour. There's a Discord server for doing that and doing it through Draftmancer. But since Lore and Eclipse, Draftmancer definitely messed up the packs, so I'm kind of a
Mm,
somebody that doesn't want to use Draftmancer anymore. I'm a
yeah,
little worried that sometimes those packs aren't reflective of how drafts actually go.
that's definitely a little worrying. Yeah, I used 20 of my whatever the Arena QP type things are to try
Yep.
to play in and didn't get anywhere. So yeah, I'll be trying on Friday a little bit probably, although I don't know. The sealed format's maybe not
Yeah.
for me. Okay, so what about draft? So we've talked about sealed, on last episode. How is draft different from sealed in this format?
Um, I mean, I think the decks are mostly all mid-ranges, so that's kind of similar. Um, but I don't think all the decks are big, kind of splashy decks. You won't see the bombs as much, I guess. That's just a nature of difference in draft and sealed. Like when you play sealed, you open, you know, 6 packs, and in draft, each person has 3 packs. And even though that's kind of like 24 packs, the best bombs aren't going to get past so much, and you only play out, certain number of people in your pods. And yeah, I think a lot of games aren't that bomb heavy in draft, so that's kind of refreshing. The best bombs can still get you, but I think a lot of them they operate just with the commons and uncommons for the most part mattering. Removal is still at a huge premium in this set actually because a lot of the bombs just it's like the only way you're going to beat them is to have removal like web up, really premium in this format. But I just think it's getting taken more aggressively in this format because the games are slower and you kind of like classic limited want to make sure you have your answers when you need them, and you also want to be pretty selective with how you use your removal.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of was thinking we say they nay, like the counterspell is probably pretty good in this format.
It can
Especially
be,
since
but
blue is a
you
bigger
still have to
color.
spend your mana on the early turns. I like that card. I don't think it's bad. But it's like in my mind, that card gets cast often on turn two and then like turn like six or later. Where like sometimes it's your only 2 mana play, you pass with it, and then you probably just need to cast it if your opponent casts something, and then you have to play like spend all your mana the next 3 turns or something. But then later in the game, it can cover you from strong cards too.
Gotcha. So I guess most decks are probably pretty sorcery speed and they can't really leave up 2 mana
Yeah, there's surprisingly
a
few
lot.
instances in this set. I keep asking my team while we're watching things where like there'll be certain situations and you realize there's just like no instance that could punish you for making certain plays with combat tricks or things like that.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Is there any of the removal that's like pretty bad that you don't like?
Um,
It's quite
Not
a
that
bit.
I don't like, to be honest. Like, Widow's Bite is kind of small, but it still has that teamwork kind of upside. But I evaluate it differently. I take web up very highly. Um, I'm unsure. The data says hero and training is better than web up or whatever. I'm not sure I would take hero and training over web up. And then the list of uncommons I would take over web up, I think is I could count on one hand.
Okay, makes sense.
Um, and then yeah, the what is it? The trickster stratagem is up there too. And then in the uncommons, there's dark deed and punishing punch as premium removal spells as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, in terms of kind of the broad format, we touched on it a bit, is sealed. I don't imagine it's super different, but like it does seem like blue and white are leading the pack by quite a bit. Just as
Yeah.
you mentioned hero training, this made me think that that's a white common that has like kind of a crazy win rate for just what it is. I think
Yeah.
that's an example of white just being really good.
To be honest, I've used 17 lands for the set more than I ever have for another set.
Okay, interesting.
And maybe that's because it's not very, maybe that's like in my mind, because it's not that synergy driven. So I just actually care about what cards are winning the most.
I guess that does make sense.
And it's hard to break free from just like seeing that one card wins more than another. And like you always have to get into the nuances of this. You shouldn't just only pick cards by 17 lands data. But um yeah, like there's just not a lot of synergy. And I kind of mean that as your deck as a whole. To be clear, like I kind of think this is always true in most limited formats, but little mini packages of cards that come all together are pretty strong. And this set, I think the games last a while pretty often, so that makes those things stronger, right? Like you only play a 40 card deck, and it's just like when I don't know, like your cards that work with your rare Loki or something come together more often, right? Stuff like that. Or I won a box with, I know this is a mythic rare and a rare, and it's sealed, but like I won a box with a deck that had Kang the Conqueror and the Shield Flying Car, and just all the time I was just like playing to my 8 mana King the Conqueror Time Walk. You can't use power up abilities on that turn. Attack you for my 5 flying, and then on your turn pass with the car, and then I could flicker my King and activate it again. And that was just like coming up all the time because like it's half my deck in a 40 card deck by the time that happens.
Okay, makes sense. Um, something that's interesting. White blue's really good, but it also seems to be pretty deep. Like, I don't know if you've gotten a feeling for like how many players in a pod typically play it, but I noticed with the data, all the white and blue cards almost have like twice as much play rate
There's not
as
very
the
many
other
bad white
colors.
cards at all. There's a few more bad blue cards, but yeah, most of the white cards are all playable. Yeah, I think I had a trophy. I don't remember. I sent you two of my single M trophies, and they're both white decks. And one of them I think I played against 3 white decks.
Wow, even in pod. Okay.
Yeah. It was the white green one, which was impressive to me because I thought my white, like, I my only commentary to like my team about this white green deck is that like all of my cards were just really good.
Yeah. Have you liked white green?
Yeah,
Or white
I
red?
think.
Like what combination? Obviously, white blue you probably think is the best, but
Well, I
is
think
there
green is
another?
the third best color, so
All right. So you like white green
white green is not going to be bad.
next? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think the data will tell you that blue red and blue black are the two. No, sorry, blue red and red black are the two worst color combos. Which um, I think red black has some room to be fine, even though it's the two worst colors, but it's not the villains deck in my mind. Like I just think especially in pod drafts, sometimes people avoid those colors so much, and you just get all good cards or whatever, and it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned red black. It has been the worst performing color pair.
Yeah, it definitely those two. It makes sense they're the two worst because what you're getting asked to do with your cards, I think, is not very good.
Right.
But
Just like the villain synergies.
yeah, particularly when you're talking about in pod drafting, I just think neither of those colors, none of the colors are bad enough that you should like completely avoid them or anything like that. I don't even think I said this out loud to my team, but like we keep getting past Jessica Jones, and in my mind, I'm like, there's just people who just won't draft red. Clearly, like,
Right.
like there's
Yeah.
like if you're not taking the Jessica Jones, like you're just unwilling to do it because Jessica Jones is really good.
Okay. So red and black are bad, but you're still willing to draft them if they're really open.
Yeah,
What?
but like yeah, it'll mean, my good red black deck, I'm gonna show it to you if I had one or whatever, and it would just be like a bunch of uncommons, right? Like it's because people just aren't drafting the red and black cards.
Sure. Is there any like particular defining features they would have besides that? Do you know? Since you're saying the villain synergies aren't great, like is it literally just
There's a
like
lot of red black rares that are really strong that don't need to be the all in villain theme.
uh-huh.
Avengers Under Siege is one of the strongest rares in the set, and then I think Ruinous Wrecking Crew is as well, and then Ares when you're aggressively slanted is a very strong card as well. That's a cool designed card because like that text box kind of works perfectly on a 4 power thing in this set specifically. Like if it was like a 3/3, I think that card would be probably really bad.
Right. Yeah, I liked that card the little bit I played with it. I guess red and black still gets a lot of removal.
Yep, that too. You'll hopefully take the premium removal if you're in those colors, so that's nice. Um, and you could probably be a more controlling deck to some extent if that's how you ended up.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, that sounds to me like you could probably just build kind of like a classic all removal and good creatures style
Yeah,
mid
or
range
like
deck.
an example of a mini combo is Avengers Under Siege and the 4 mana Hawkeye Young Avenger. You know,
All right,
that's
sure.
like then you'll deal 4 damage to your opponent's entire board, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And those are things that I think are just you want to keep an eye out for them in this format. They're really powerful. They work out a lot.
Yeah, and it's not like a whole deck synergy, but it's just like little pockets of
Yep,
synergy. So you still have to
exactly.
pay attention to that for your decks, even though the format as a
Where it's
whole has been
like,
super
yeah,
synergistic.
they probably involve like one really good card, but then maybe the second card is like a C minus or something, but like it's okay to play C minuses, and you're gonna have to play some um, below average cards in every draft deck. That's something I thought was really cool from the Sirkovitz videos I learned a while ago, where he goes into deep dive on this data and talks about, he'll show you cards that are effectively they are like lower win rate than the average win rate that you would have as a player. But every draft deck you play will have cards like that, right? Like they're your like 18th through 23rd cards or stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's always certain archetypes usually that actually can have a standout, maybe even a positive win rate on those cards.
Yep.
Like you can imagine a card that as a whole has a negative win rate because it's bad in most of the color pairs, but maybe in like one color pair, it's actually a positive win rate card.
Yeah, and I'm actually not a master of using this data, but like I wouldn't be
No.
surprised if you looked at the data specifically on Hawkeye Young Avenger in decks that had Avengers Under Siege. Like it might be very good.
Yeah, that's a good example. I mean, I sort of always have done this in limited, but this is something that the data at least doesn't show on the surface, like you said, unless you do some digging. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Where like it's oftentimes fine to play because most cards, especially nowadays, are like much better than the worst cards used to be. So they're
Yep.
still going to do something, and it's okay to play those cards, especially if you have a few other cards in your deck that you can draw because you only have a 40 card deck. Like you're going to see pairs
Yeah.
of cards a
Or,
decent amount of the time.
there's a lot of these mini things in red, like Photon Blast Barrage, also really good with the Hawkeye Young Avenger, or Photon Blast Barrage with Red Hulk is basically, obviously that's a 6-drop you have to untap with, but you'll kill your opponent if you have Photon Blast Barrage and you untap with that card.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff like that.
I imagine, all this impod stuff could actually be good for like your FNM too. I don't imagine your FNMs are that big. So if you do like FNM drafts,
Yeah.
um, this sort of impod stuff is definitely something worth paying attention to. You may even notice that your arena decks or draft decks are typically stronger than your impod decks.
Yeah. I mean, the main commentary on in pod drafts is that I think color balance is very self-correcting in any format.
Yeah.
If everybody shows up to the in pod draft thinking white is great and they're going to draft white, then I just would not be surprised that the people who don't have white decks are going to have great decks.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Well, we don't have time to go into a super deep dive of the format, but is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we move on?
Um, no, not specifically. I don't know if we have the time. I linked to a draft log of a very interesting draft deck I had.
Oh yeah, we could breeze through that real
Probably go
quick.
through it. Yeah, it should be fast. So this is a single limb deck that I went 1-1 with. I guess I didn't send you a picture of the deck. Let me send you that.
Okay.
It's basically, for those listening, a mono blue deck that is splashing 2 Hulk Smashes and a Cruel Alliance. Those are the only not blue cards.
All right, it's pretty interesting.
And my deck has 4 Aim Scientists and a 5th in the sideboard, and I'm only playing 15 lands.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought my land count played out great. I don't have a lot of spaces on my 2s anyways, and I have 2 Whisadinaes, so it's kind of nice to like pass with Whisadinae and Land Cyclers.
Mm-hmm.
And my losses were to like somebody turned 3 unbeatable Squirrel Gold me and I didn't have an answer, and then another game they just like powered out Titania by discarding a card and I also didn't have an answer. And then what made me kind of happy is I looked at my draft log and discovered I passed 0 cards that could answer those cards.
How'd you get the draft log?
You can have them saved when you draft on Magic Online and then
Oh,
upload them to this website. So I don't know if you have it
wow, I never
open.
knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm actually screen sharing it at the moment. We could go
Yeah.
through it.
So, Herbie, I like Herbie. You stay open.
Yeah, got to be a weak pack to take Herbie, right?
It doesn't have to be that weak, but yeah, I would
Okay.
take, Web Up and stuff over Herbie. And then the second pack, I also took Herbie.
Nice.
Um,
It's pretty funny.
yeah.
There's some good cards in the second pack to me. Spider-Man, Kid
Yeah.
Loki.
I don't think Kid Loki's very good.
Okay.
I think, you could put it in a deck after you know your deck is doing that thing, but I would
Yeah.
not take it highly. And I think Spider-Man is kind of unimpressive, at least against stronger players. I think people are pretty heads up about playing around that card.
All right. Fair enough. I've
It's
done
not bad, but, like,
yeah.
I
Okay.
think Herbie's really good.
Sure. And it totally makes sense to me anyways, even if I thought those cards were pretty good because you took a colors card and Herbie's a
Yep.
colors card also.
And then here I take Hulk Smash, which is not that good with Herbies, but I'm just prioritizing removal over kind of a weak pack anyways. I don't really like the Red Room Recruit. I think the Red Room Recruit is exactly what's wrong with Black, which is that like that card is pretty good. Like when you read it, like I think, it sounds really good, but it's small.
Yeah.
It ends up being on boards where it doesn't get to attack or block basically ever anyways, and it just doesn't matter.
Hmm. Did you consider the Black Panther Vanguard in this pack?
I did, but I also am kind of lower on that card too recently. It's a card I'll play, but it's kind of just, I already took 2 4-drops also that aren't even heroes.
Okay. Not as good as it looks type of
Yep.
thing. All right.
And then here I take Cruel Alliance, which is better than my first 3 picks, in my
Okay.
opinion. Like I would have taken that over any of those if it was in my pack.
Yeah. These packs don't seem super great.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
trying
it's
to-
not
for like listeners, I'm trying to maybe pick out the cards you might be able to picking them over, but there's nothing too
Yeah.
great here. I mean, there's like Madam Mask. That's a pretty strong card.
Madam Mask and Raft Security Officer and Helicarrier Strike are the other strong cards in this pack.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then here I take Bold Biochemist over the Sentry Golden Guardian. I don't really think the Sentry is good. And Bold Biochemist is pretty good with Herbie, actually. Herbie can ramp you to 6 mana, and it's just a good, solid 2-drop.
Okay.
Next pack, Aim Scientists. It's blue. I'm just really high on these Land Cyclers. I
Yeah.
think this format is mid-rangey enough that, people talk about the variance in Limited and how, you get mana screwed or mana flooded, and taking land cyclers is a really good way to mitigate that. And then specifically, as I already spoiled for you, by the end of this draft, I have 4 of these and 15 lands. So it's kind of like my deck has 19 lands to some extent, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really like that card. Do you have a preference for blue? I'm trying to.
Yeah, I mean, blue is the second strongest color, so like,
Yeah. Okay. But like there's a couple spots I could have seen you making an excuse to take a white card and you don't.
yeah, they're not the strongest white cards.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think a card like Cruel Alliance is exactly the type of thing you need to take really highly in this format. Is just like a kill anything type of card is
And
really, really powerful.
sure, anything medium to small. Okay.
Well, Cruel Alliance with teamwork kills anything. So,
Gotcha. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right.
then the next pack,
7.
I take another Aim Scientist. It was either that or like a blue-green land. And then I just kind of take blue cards the rest of the pack, I think.
Yeah.
Get Loki back.
It just gets kind of weaker.
Yep, I got another Aim Scientist and an Aim Lab.
Oh, you got an island last pick. It's a sign.
Yeah. And then pack 2. The Earth's Mightiest Hero card is strong, but I don't think it's very strong in my small creature blue deck, where I don't think I'm going to Teamwork 5.
Right.
And the Shield Drone's very good.
Yeah.
But to be clear, I already have, was it like 3 Aim Scientists?
Mm-hmm.
So this draft's just interesting because I don't see the card Web Up or whatever, or Murdoch's Crusade even. And I would be taking that card and putting a Plains in my deck. So that's why I kind of liked how I navigated this draft, that like I think I was very able to open bombs or really strong removal. And I don't think it happened, but like I'm pretty happy with how I drafted because it could have easily happened and I could have had, like a much stronger deck than what it looked like by taking these land cyclers the way I did.
Okay. Interesting.
So here there's obviously like some strong white cards, but I already have a Hulk Smash, and I've already kind of felt like at this point I'm doing what my deck ends up looking like at the end, where I'm just going to be base blue and splash really strong cards.
All right. I could see it.
I have the 2 Atlantis, what is it, the 3/2 Vigilances that can maybe grow. That'll work well with the Hulk Smashes. Also, Aim Scientist can be a 4/4, so that like is enough power, I think. Not even thinking about the Teamwork 4, but just that like 4 is like a nice amount of power to be dealing with that card.
I guess the white cards that are in this pack 2 are 2 white 2 drops, Night Nurse and Brave Brawler, and you don't have very aggressive or assertive cards.
Night Nurse is kind of cool with the Aim Scientists. Maybe I should have thought about it more.
Yeah.
Turn 4, I could cycle for Plains and play Night Nurse and just get it back.
Yeah, Night Nurse seems really good.
Yeah. That might be a pick that would have been better, but I think at the end, my deck would have been better having the Hulk Smash.
Okay. I like that you take Stature in the next pack.
Yeah. I like Stature.
Over like an Okoi or...
Yep.
That's kind of it.
Okoi is it's really good with Political Triumph. It's the same kind of thing where it's a lot of stats in one card, but then it doesn't actually amount to like rumbling in combat very well.
Right. You kind of need other synergies maybe with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Stature's great.
I'm really happy to get Frozen Ice in the next pack, just a nice blue removal spell. And then I get Echo. I really like Echo. Okay. Echo can even copy land cycling. It can copy Herbie.
Is this Miss Marvel good? I need to read it.
You have to target creatures you control with spells. So
it's kind of like a blue-white card.
Yeah, or maybe green. The green cards have fights and punches. I mean, I did have 2 Hulk Smashes at this point, so I think I really considered it. But the Echo card is also just going to like combo with my cards in a very similar way, if that makes sense,
Yeah, I haven't played much of this format, but I did play against that card and thought it was kind of good.
Yeah, it's also a combo of Stature for closing the game.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it's one of those cards where like you just put it in your deck, and then as the game plays out, you're like, oh, this works with this. This works with this. So
yeah.
That's pretty cool. More Aim Scientists. Nobody wanted these.
Yep.
Yeah. Pick 6.
Happy to get a deployment drone though.
This feels like it might be a lower power draft so far.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
Which is the nicer part about being in pod too.
Yeah, for sure. If you get a deck like this on Arena, sometimes you're just like, man.
Yeah. The Lance Attacks is nice. But like it's back to what I'm saying. If this was a higher powered draft, I think my deck is totally ready to take advantage of that.
Right. You could still take the higher power cards if they were
Yeah,
here. They just aren't.
yeah, they're just not
Yeah.
here. And I'm actually kind of happy to wheel the Atlantis uh Merfolk Lord because I have two of the 3/2 Vigilance Merfolks.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty
Um,
decent card to me.
yeah,
I know you have a lot of fours already, but
yep. And then I guess some hydraulic helpers I don't even play because they don't really matter in my deck.
sure.
And then I'm happy with another Bold Biochemist. The Taskmaster card is not that good. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because think last time we talked you might have liked it in Seal, but that was before you played a lot of this format.
yeah, it's just not that good.
Bummer.
It's not bad, but it's not like some super strong rare you should be playing to. I end up getting this Taskmaster and boarding it in versus the person I lost to because they had strong cards that I could copy.
Okay, but you'd rather just have the solid, really solid 2-drop.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I love Bolt Biomancer. Yep.
It is a really good card. Yeah, anytime this is sort of just like a limited rule of thumb that 2-drops that are good into the late game are just really premium.
Yep.
It's kind of always been the case.
Here I pick up two we say the nays in a row, I think. So that's kind of nice, some more interaction. The second one I had to take over Futurist Forge, but I already had two biochemists at this point,
Sure.
Like the biochemist and Futurist Forge are very similar cards. They're both cost roughly the same amount of mana to get three cards out of in a sense. One of them gives you a 2/4 instead of
Yeah,
a cycle. But
I do like Futurist Forge. I guess I like it more with some of the like draw two synergies,
yeah.
or maybe the artifact synergies, which none of which you really have. Aerial Doombot.
Yeah.
How's Iron Man?
Iron Man's not very good.
Okay.
So here's a pick that like I guess like I ended up taking the Astonishing Ant-Man or whatever it's called over Falcon or Atlantis attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought it would be very good in my deck, and I thought I could splash it, and it's kind of what I was talking about. And then at the end, I decided not to splash it.
Because you're already playing two other colors.
Yeah,
Hmm. I mean, you already had an Atlantis attacks, and I can't imagine Falcon's that good. Doesn't
yeah,
seem like a
Falcon's not
risky
like
bet
amazing.
usually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get a blue red land for my Hulk smashes, get a third drone, and then yeah,
That's
it's
a
just
pretty late shield drone. That's not
yeah. I mean, blue is very open, right? That's why I'm mono blue,
right.
basically.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's basically how it
All right,
goes. And
that's the
then
draft.
I get
Yeah,
a fifth. I get a fifth aim scientist at the end for fun.
weird draft. I've had drafts like that before, actually.
Yeah.
Where you're just like primarily one color and you're waiting for something to happen and nothing really happens, so that you just
Yep.
have this primarily
But
one
I
color
did
deck.
like that when I went back through there after losing to like Unbeatable Squirrel Girl and reviewing my draft log that I was like, well, there wasn't a single card I passed that would help me beat that card. So
Yeah, you like maybe could have had a slightly more assertive deck if you had gone into these white cards a bit, but there's nothing really great. You could have just had some
yeah,
white 2-drops basically.
yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't even know you could do this with on Magical Mind.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
nice.
draft your logs. Thought it was maybe a program you had to download or something.
Nope. It'll save your logs. You have to go and check in a box when you log in somewhere in your game. I think it's in the game history tab.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
How's standard?
Standard. Yeah, so standard's kind of interesting because I think the biggest development in standard meta-wise besides this form or besides this Marvel set has kind of been the rise of these white decks. Um just, acknowledging that practice offense is a super good card. People
Okay.
have figured that out.
Yep.
This green white deck's gotten really popular. It's just kind of a classic green white beatdown deck.
With
A
Leatherhead.
lot of them, yeah, a lot of them have Leatherhead because, your opponent plays a sweeper, then you play Leatherhead and you have your practice offense in hand and graveyard. It can be kind of good game right there.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of them playing Bright Glass Gear Hulk.
Makes sense.
That's interesting.
I think a thing with practice offense is it rewards you for going tall more than it rewards you for going wide.
Yeah, so you do want some big creatures
A
in your
big
deck.
trampling double striker is like way nicer than like making a bunch of tokens.
Right. It is nice to have some of the, mana creatures around and whatnot. That's a big part of the synergy, but I
Yeah.
agree.
The green white deck is doing both, to be fair. It's going very wide and tall. It's just all creatures and offenses basically. So that's, it has room to do both, but in modern, for example, some decks people are trying practice offense too, and I like that card way more with Psychic Frog than I like it with Guide and Pride, for example.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Silly as that sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's a really strong card. So, yeah, the white decks are on a rise. control decks seem to be able to combat him decently well, but I think like maybe Izzet Prowess is having a hard time with him because that deck's a lot less popular.
Okay.
So there's a lot of control, on the back of Tablet Discovery and Jeskai Revelation, lots of different versions of that. Um, not I haven't seen honestly a lot of new cards from other folks like browsing through. I've seen some people on YouTube like picking up Thor, the 5 mana Thor. But I did build some decks to try some new cards, and like I built. First off, I was really excited about Thor, so I built several decks with Thor. I threw it in. I threw it in the Jessica control deck, and I liked it. I could easily see it being a mainstay. I tried to list with three. I don't think you really need three. It could be just like a two of.
Yeah, I could also. Yeah, I don't know. If it's really strong, then it'll make sense to be a main deck card. If it's, you know, strong but not like broken strong, then I could just imagine it being a sideboard card.
I could see that too. Yeah,
It
I would
sucks that it's
say,
flash freezable. That's the
yeah,
only an issue with it.
that's kind of rough. I like it against these like non-blue decks the most, but
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think a card like that
game one against
generally,
prowess, it's actually pretty good too.
yeah, I mean, generally it's like it's a card that's very punishing for people who don't play removal, right? Ultimately, so like that's where it's going to be the strongest.
Hmm.
Which is like a category of cards control decks want sometimes, or spell elementals even we've talked about it, or lessons. Like multiple Pro Tours in a row, I've seen people talk about maybe sideboarding the Giralf from OTJ in their lessons deck because they're just playing against these decks that have no removal for creatures, only removal for artist talents and monument, or maybe their removal seam rip, so it can't hit a 3-drop.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of removal people play that just aren't touching this because the format's so fast, and those
Yeah,
removal spells, like burn spells and seam rips and requiting hexes, target a lot of the format. But it
yeah.
doesn't hit him. I do like that it's a card that is really good in some matchups, and then even in the matchups it's not great, it's still totally fine because you
Still
play.
2-for-1, and
It's kind of like playing copies of Flashback. I think I like it more than Flashback. I know
that
some
makes
people play
sense.
Flashback.
It's also like you know we talk about these cards like they always die, but they don't always die when you put them into play and you actually play the games. Everybody always talks about the likely thing to happen, but maybe 20-30% of the time you play Thor in a heavy removal spell matchup and your opponent just doesn't actually have the answer.
Yeah, and honestly, you kind of just win when you on top of this thing if your hand
No, absolutely.
just somewhat decent,
Yeah. It's really punishing when they don't have the answer. That's what I like about it. I mean, we both put this we put them in first and second across our two top tens, right? So
Yeah. Hmm.
um, just
Um, yeah, it's a great.
it
So I've
reads
been
really
really
well
happy
to
with
me.
it.
So yeah, glad you've been happy with it.
This deck also has Avengers Disassembled, kind of another home run card.
Makes sense.
Um, Nothing too crazy here. I did go harder on the like, because one of the things Avengers Disassembled does is it blows up your opponent's land. So I went harder on the like that aspect of playing these two cards together. So I built this blue red deck
Nice.
that basically uses Wan Shi Tong and Thor as win conditions, and it's got demolition fields.
Nice and
And then
sideboard
it's
price
like,
freedoms.
yep, and it uses the Avengers Disassembled main. So there's certain matchups you'll run into where you could just beat them with Disassembled and Demolition Field. So like other control decks, you don't have to worry so much about having a bunch of resilient win conditions because you could just blow up all their lands
That's cool.
pretty effectively. Yeah, so this is none of these decks I've played a ton, but I've liked them. One card that's really good with Thor is actually Traumatic Critique.
Makes sense.
This
Yeah.
is this is kind of true with Jeskai Revelation too, but if you don't have white, Traumatic Critique, you can burn them for a bit, and then when you play Thor, and if you target that and flash it back, it can like almost double your fireball essentially, so you can really just close out a game really quickly.
I like that you have the spell snares here too. We had talked about that in our top 10 episode. How, you know, Shuko or whatever can't work with counter magic, but Thor you could play with a blue up and hit spell snare, and then a lot of the answers to Thor would cost 2.
Yeah, like if you know your opponent's removal to kill it is only like Bitter Triumph, for example,
Yeah.
and you target the spell snare, um, that does pretty well. Yeah, spell snare also in the blue red deck, you don't have as many spells to play.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they can upkeep kill it, but hopefully, you punish them by untapping with all your mana or something.
Yeah, maybe you have another counter spell that's more expensive,
Yeah.
or just cast some spells and burn some things. Um, so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then the one other deck, this was, going out of the park a little bit. This one I actually played a good amount with because it was really fun to play, and I was winning a good bit with it. So this is a red green like ramp deck that uses Thor. I've got Ice Hill Explorer and World Souls Rage to like
That's
get back
cool.
demolition fields and other lands from my graveyard, and I'm using Artist Talent um, to kind of accelerate discarding my lands to get them in the graveyard to get them back with Rage and whatnot. So the idea with this deck is discard a bunch of land, kill creatures with Burst Lightning and Avengers Disassembled, maybe kill some lands. And then once you have a ton of mana in play, you can play Thor to get back your World Swords Rage and kind of fireball your opponent out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Um, Funny enough, this deck I was having problems with the card Deadly Cover Up,
Oh yeah.
so you might need to build it slightly differently if you want to have a better plan against that, because they can just wrath your Thor and then take all your Thors, and it like severely limits what you can do against a deck like that. But the Legend of Roku is another card here that stands out where it's like a big red card that can give you a lot of card advantage.
This is a very strong card. I mean, when Showdown of the Skalds was in standard, I think there were just decks, sideboarding four or stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
and this card's seen a bit of modern play, so
yep.
it's definitely pretty good. It's in a format where it doesn't have an obvious home, but something like this, whether this deck is good or not, it is a good card in this deck. Gives you a
Yeah.
lot of card
It would
advantage.
make sense to be in a red controlling deck
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have blue, because the blue card advantage is obviously going to be better.
Yeah, I did think about trying to build a red black mid range deck with Legend of Roku and Thor,
Yeah,
and
that would make
discard
sense.
spells, but I never actually shelled it out. It's funny because a lot of the colors in this format have some like really heavy hitters, whether it be like Tablet and red, the Badgermole and the Llanowar Elves in green. Blue has the really good card drawing. White has like the Momo and whatnot. Black doesn't really have anything that's super powerful at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
have you,
mean, I don't really know.
yeah, have you been paying attention to standard at all? Or you just been focused
No,
on
I haven't.
modern and
So
whatnot? Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
take a peek at the Goldfish page, see if there's decks I wouldn't expect.
Sure. I mean, there's some other things like people have been playing a lot of blue black, and some of them have like a Modoc in their deck, which doesn't sound terrible to me. It's a pretty good card with Superior Spider-Man in some sense.
Oh, yeah, interesting. That's cool.
Doesn't strike me as a very good card on its own to just cast, but yeah, with if the body is a 4 mana 4/4 instead of a 5 mana 2/2, I mean that's a lot better.
I was hoping you were going to show me a deck with Captain Marvel and three steps ahead, which I see you have one, but it's just kind of blue-white control with Ugin
Yeah,
and the Enigma Jewel.
yeah. What were you hoping with 3 steps out in Captain Marvel?
I won a box with those cards in my deck, so I
Oh,
expected to see
nice.
it in standard, but I got to do it in my 40 card deck. They play really well together, as it turns out, in both when you pass with 5 mana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay, let's talk about this deck. I built a blue white control deck, and this deck performed better than I thought it would. I thought it was going to be kind of like a almost just for fun deck, like tier 4 type of thing.
Yeah.
But I actually think there's a chance this is a better way to play blue white control than just the stock blue white control list. Um,
Yeah, I've talked about it before, and you always have a deck ready for it that like Ugin it's really good. I mean, one of the
yeah,
best decks in modern is Tron, but they play for Ugin, like for a reason, like it's not a card you lose with much when you cast it.
yeah,
It's
it's great. One of the
yeah.
problems in standard is the colorless cards aren't that great, so I'm
Yep.
always playing Candy Trails, and I found a new favorite card I love to play with Candy Trail, and that's the Enigma Jewel. S- So, the Enigma Jewel looks funny in this deck,
Pisces
but
tricked it out with Thirst for Knowledge.
yeah, Thirst for Knowledge. In case you need God to discard the extras. Thirst
Yeah.
has been kind of nice. It can leave up on 3 mana. You don't usually have a lot of card drawing options, so it's nice with like the 3 mana counters to leave something up.
Makes sense.
Maybe Stockup's better, but hey. Um, yeah, so the Enigma Jewel, you can use it on Candy Trail. You can use it with Maze Mind Tome. I mean, if you just run this and a Maze
Yeah.
Mind Tome
I
out,
feel like it's
like
always seen play with Maze Mind Tome since I've seen any deck
that
with
makes
it.
sense. Yeah, I mean, it does make it into like a personal Howling Mine, right?
Yeah.
Um, You can use it with Baxter Building, which is a card from the new set. This kind of lets you funnel your
Oh,
activated
you
ability
do have the
mana.
Mind Stone. I was like, where's your the Mind Stone? But there
Oh,
it
it's
is.
in there. It's
Yeah.
hiding. There's a lot of things in this list. You could activate your Mind Stone with it too.
Yeah.
But so the Baxter Building, you could funnel activated ability mana into real mana. So
Oh,
like
okay.
you could use the Enigma Jewel and Sunken Citadel. That's essentially
Take that goes
tapping.
up mana. Okay, funny.
You're tapping 2 lands and a
Yeah.
jewel to make 4.
But in the realm of casting Ugin, that might come up on time. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
ramping. And then Captain Marvel, when you cast it with Flash, its power up ability costs 2 colorless. So you could use the Enigma Jewel power up
Yeah.
right away.
2 Sunken Citadels and Baxter Building. That's basically Tron.
Yeah, bro. Basically Tron. Tron and Enigma Jewel.
There you
It's
go.
like Tron plus Mind Stone. Yeah. So yeah, I've got some what's weird about this deck? Oh, the Spirit Water Revival. I wouldn't play that in real life. There's so much control on a ladder, and
Yeah, funny.
I just want something to like make the games easier, and you just get back your counter spells and a couple demolition fields and your win conditions, and it just makes the game one
No,
so
the
much
Arena
easier.
Ladder is full of just control decks that look like all of yours. So it
Yeah, I know. Well,
you have
there's like
to,
lots
you
of
have
the
to come out on
Jeskai
top.
control, and there's lots of like green, black, like five
Yep.
color, stuff, and they just run you out of win
Yep.
conditions. So
Shahar.
it's
Deck Shahar streams. Yep.
yeah, Shahar. Yeah. This is so I need it for the Shahar decks. Um, I would probably just play, another Thirst for Knowledge or Counterspell in real life. This deck's been a lot of fun. I've got some interesting sideboard tech. So this deck, I've got Torpor Orb that's kind of decent against some of the stuff. Like Blue Black Demons can be a problem. So I've got like Torpor Orb and I've got Glendalenger's Answer, which you can use against the demon deck to stop their abilities even when they have Cavern Souls.
Okay.
And then I've been boarding it against Prowess.
I see. To try to
Because,
get some prowess triggers and make some 1/1s.
yeah,
That's
and it's
doesn't even
uncounterable.
sound that good. Yeah.
So that one is how do you say? It's still being tested.
Hmm.
Yeah, that one's in the lab. Some of these other sideboard cards I actually do like in Blue Light Control. Glendalenja Guardian and Aang I found to be pretty good. Glendalenja Guardian is for like matchups where you want to block tiny flyers or control matchups. Aang is actually not really for control matchups. It's more for like decks with tokens or creature decks, fast creature decks.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Is that everything? I built a couple other decks, I guess. I built a deck with Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, that's cool. Momo's just with Rambo. I remember you saying that in the top 10 episode.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anyone do this. Obviously the like Riddler synergy is good too. And
You
I
have a
think
Daydream thing, yeah, but you don't have Daydream. Instead, you have like Burst Lightning.
yeah. I think maybe I would try a Jeskai deck next to see if I could fit all of it in, but this is where I started.
Yeah.
And,
That's cool.
Monica Rambeau. I did play some mirrors, and the Rambeau, you just, run it out on like turn 4 or whatever, even turn 5. And then when you play your practice offense, a couple times, play it, flash it back, your board gets a lot bigger than theirs pretty fast.
Makes
The other
sense.
Momo decks aren't playing for practice offense, I don't think, too, so that's kind of a factor, but
Yeah, I actually played that qualifier weekends, just grabbing a Momo list from online that had 4 practice offense and 4 Steam Core Scholar, which was
oh,
a cool
right.
combo.
How was that deck?
I think I went 4-3, but
Yeah, honestly, that deck
Seems
seems
like-
kind of good.
yeah, I just felt like it would be fun to play with Quantum Riddler and Daydream and stuff, so that's why I picked it mostly.
Yeah. Didn't you play a different deck on day one of that event?
Yeah, I played the green-white practice offense deck.
Okay. And you just thought it wasn't great, or?
I don't know. It's just hard to tell. Like I went 0-1 and then 4-0 or something with it, and then played just. And the next morning, woke up and drank my coffee and thought about what deck I wanted to play, and I don't know.
And
I
the blue
tried
cards
hard
called to you.
these last few ones. Yeah, the blue cards called to me mostly.
Yeah. All right. I mean, Quantum Riddler's pretty sweet. One last thing I tried, speaking of Quantum Riddler, I tried to construct a Cosmic Cube deck,
Nice.
and I discovered a problem with this card that it makes me not like it.
Oh yeah.
And it's that my opponents kept dying before I can get 7 plant counters on it.
Yeah. Well, that I kind of expected.
And I just yeah. Uh, I kind of liked this card. This is like blue black mid range basically. Except instead of using Kaito, which is a card that like if you fall behind you're kind of screwed. It's got Construct a Cosmic Cube basically. I mean, some of my other cards are different too, but that's like structurally what's going on.
Right.
Um, if you have Cube in play, they can't just attack it down and kill it. You know, you could like kill some stuff and block.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a much better card on defense.
yeah. So I wasn't sure. I didn't want to play it in like a control deck, and I knew I wanted to play like Ops and Riddler, and I went with, Storm Chaser Talent Boomerang basics. I can draw a card.
Malcolm's cool because it
Yeah,
works
Malcolm
on
works
curve with the
well.
cube.
Yep, flash it in, cube. I'm trying these Knowledge Seekers. This is kind of a pet card of mine. I always thought it was like pretty decent for what it is, just 2 mana little threat that grows, and then if your opponent kills it, you get a clue, which you can use to crank out
Yep,
more on the cube.
makes sense.
And then I've got 4 We Say the Nay here. So I've got the Knowledge Seekers have Vigilance. They can tap to kick the We Say. The cube tokens, you'll often, have a Menace 2/1 lying around.
Right.
So that's good
Yeah,
there.
that makes sense. Yeah, those
Um,
cards seem like they play well together.
I think I beat every control deck with this deck really handily that I played against.
Funny. Yeah.
Which, I mean, makes sense just looking at it, right? And then I was having a lot of trouble against the white decks with it.
Right. Makes sense.
Um, I was down to this plan of like boarding in deadly cover ups, and that was working okay. But I think mostly this deck is not well positioned against a field of a lot of white decks. So yeah, that's what I got for standard
Yeah.
brews. I've made some videos if you guys want to check them out on the YouTube channel. Like if any of these decks look particularly interesting, I think I made a deck with or a video with all of them, except maybe not the Jeskai or the blue red decks, but all the others. So check those out. Are there any standard cards you've been or cards from the new set that you think could see an impact in standard, or even we can transition into modern?
Yeah, I
You've
mean,
seen
in
in modern.
modern, far and away the most played new card is Hex Magic,
That makes sense.
and it's
So
just the Ruby Storm deck, and it's very clearly good to play four in your Ruby Storm deck, I think. I don't really
okay.
think there's much else to that.
Hex Magic is interesting because they like very clearly, especially when they just put Arcane on it. They're like, here you go, play this in
Yeah, that
Modern
one's
Storm.
weird. We say the nay is also arcane, so it's just related to some flavor thing. But
Maybe. I
um,
almost wonder if they first were like, I want to put Arcane on Hex Magic, and then maybe decided to make it a thing.
yeah, I think it would be still a four of in Ruby Storm if it didn't have
Oh, for sure.
arcane though. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah.
just like so commonly, you play your Ruby or Ral on turn two, and then if your opponent doesn't kill it, you like play Hex Magic, draw 5 cards, win the game. Or if they do kill it, you play Hex Magic, draw 5 cards or something, and win the game next turn.
Yeah. There
Uh,
was still some question in my mind if it was better than if it was like strictly better than the Exile, like Eldrazi one they were playing, where you exile 3 cards and make spawns from
yeah, that
standard
one only works for
Eldrazi.
one turn though, so like
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just better than that. Obviously, there's some spots where you don't have a lot of cards in your hand, and there's some other weird things like Narset or Bowmasters. But it just seems like it really lets that deck grind through hate. Not hate, sorry. Like normal disruption, like removal on your permanents or counter spells or Thoughtseize, stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems like a good consistency card for them.
Yeah,
Which they probably needed, honestly.
yeah. And then yeah, the other new card that people are trying, but I'm not sure has really worked is Loki. That draws cards. Um, people are
Okay, the
playing it.
blue 2/1, where anytime
Yep.
you equip or you target, what is it, one of your own creatures with an ability?
Target any creature, any permanent or player with ability you control from
Oh,
anything.
nice. Oh, so like Mishra, that's right, because the bauble
Yep,
works
Mishra's
with it.
Bauble. Um,
So okay, a little build your own Dark Confidant. It doesn't deal
yeah,
damage to you. I guess you could trigger it on your opponent's turn,
yep,
so you can get even more than Dark Confidant.
yep. And people are trying that Sewer Valence Cam Grinding Station deck again with it. But
Yeah,
notably, Grinding Station and the Cam trigger Loki, so that's kind of cool.
yeah. Okay, interesting.
But it doesn't look like that deck has, actually been winning a lot, but it's just a thing people have been trying.
Right. Is it in? Are they playing in more like mid-range shells too?
I've seen some Corey Steelcutter decks. I saw Nassif. I like tuned into a stream and he was 4-0 in a league with kind of like the Mox Amber, Mox Opal, Tameo, Emery, Loki Cutter deck.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't think my deck is better than Prowess. Sounded like he was just beating people
Uh,
up with Cutter,
yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah.
a card that's pretty good at soloing games, to be fair. So,
Yeah. I listened to the Midweek Metagame podcast recently and they were talking about Modern, and I think neither of them are participating in their team's like discussion for Modern until it gets closer to the event or something. So they've been
oh
like
wow,
just kind of freely playing
that's cool.
on stream and stuff. But yeah, they
Yeah,
did say a lot of things like, "Oh, I've been trying this card and I went 5-0 with this deck, and I don't think it's that great." That
Ed,
sort
your
of thing.
5 league with a deck that had
Oh yeah.
Loki and Shuko and Thassa's Oracle because he didn't realize that Loki was once per turn, but he's still 5-0'd, which is pretty funny.
And then people copied his deck, I think, and were
Probably, yeah.
playing it. Or maybe that's what they made it sound like. Maybe they didn't
Yeah.
actually do that, but that's pretty funny. Uh, you get all Shuko. Clip it to my
Yeah,
Riddler.
otherwise, nothing else really new I've noticed.
Yeah. Is this a bummer in your mind that this set isn't having a huge impact, or are you kind of okay with some of
I'm
these
okay with it.
sets not
Doesn't
doing a ton? I mean, they
really
do
matter
make a
to
lot
me.
of sets, right? So it's like,
Yeah, and modern is hard to make a big impact.
well, yeah, it's certainly modern. You wouldn't expect it, but I would, maybe even
Maybe
standard.
something else will show up, that's different with Loki that'll be good. It's a little weird to me because like you have to really convince me it's going to be better than like Quantum Riddler. Because all you're doing when show me something cool with Loki is that your deck is good at drawing cards. Maybe
Yeah,
isn't like what wins. And
yeah. I guess it's hard not to just play
there's a lot
Riddler
of decks you have to beat
deck.
in Modern. So the idea of like being like, well, I'm going to draw a bunch of cards and then I'm going to interact with my opponent and not lose. It's really hard to do that in Modern.
It
You could
is,
you
yeah.
could pick some decks that your deck is probably going to be very good against, but I don't think you can have your deck be good against a lot, a big, diverse metagame like Modern.
Right. Well, and some of the best ways to do it at the moment, right? Like these blue eye control decks and stuff, they use pitch spells, they use
Yeah, I
hard
mean the better.
disadvantage things like
I mean, Orm's
what
Chant is like
Orm's Chant. Yeah, yeah.
really popular. Yeah, I mean that's a
So
deck I've been
Riddler with
playing a little
these
bit
all these
too.
cards sounds really good.
I know I used to say I really didn't like that deck that got
Mhm.
second at the Pro Tour, but I kind of respect that deck now. I think the Orm's Chant stuff is pretty strong. It just you get back your cards with stuff like Consult the Star Charts or Hardcat Solitude, right? And buying time works out pretty well. And I mean, Orm's Chant ultimately, like if you've ever seen a Turbo Fog deck, that those used to exist more like when Nexus of Fate was printed, but that's what Orm's Chant is, right? It's just like a Turbo Fog that kind of works in Modern because it also stops their spells.
Yeah, for sure.
And then
And
obviously you have the lock with Isochron Scepter eventually too.
yeah, I mean, obviously, Ice Cream Scepter is a big thing. Being able to protect your planeswalkers is a pretty big thing.
Yep.
Um, we've seen in the past in like Standard when Teferi was like the 5 minute Teferi was really powerful in that format. People played things like Blink of the Eye just to bounce stuff and keep it alive a little bit longer.
Yep.
To plus it some more, draw some more cards. So I guess you don't really have a planeswalker that has much plus abilities. I guess you have a couple of some of them. Some people play like one Teferi or one Jace, that sort of thing, right?
Big Teferi is pretty good. Yeah. It also works really well with Orm's Chant.
Yeah, but even just protecting your small Teferi, even though the plus isn't like gaining you card advantage every turn, is
Yeah, I
pretty
mean protecting
reasonable.
it's pretty good. I mean that one has a possibility that at least does something with the minus again later, and then also protecting your Narset or whatever if you're playing with Days Undo and combo matters too, right? Because like it lets you untap with Narset more often.
Yeah, or keep it alive until you find your days in doing
Yeah.
this sort of thing. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we
Oh, there's one more card.
sure. What do you
Avengers
got?
Disassembled.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Red white land destruction
How's
deck.
that red white deck doing?
Uh,
Is it going
it's
to give
been
even better?
updating some challenges and
Love
with
it.
Wind Sauce. He said,
What a
and
funny deck.
yeah, and he's been playing with main deck High Noons as well, just kind of fully embracing your deck as kind of a prison deck that's destroying lands and playing main deck
Right.
High Noons and Rest in Pieces.
I bet the Avengers Disassembled is good in that deck.
Yeah,
If I
it
had to
must be. I
guess.
mean, I think, the trying to cast a 2 mana destroy your land card against Boros Energy sounds really useless. And like you'd just be taking a lot of damage, but having extra sweepers, that deck already has 4 Wrath of the Skies, but now I see the stock list has 4 Wrath of the Skies and 2 Avengers disassembled. So yeah, they're probably just, trying to rat the board, and eventually they do kind of mana screw the opponent or maybe take them off a color.
Yeah, it's the same thing kind of in standard where you're playing it for the sweeper mode, but in certain matchups, the land destruction is going to matter a lot.
Yeah. I take issue with that deck's mana, by the way. It's really bad. I don't know how else to put it.
The red white deck?
Yeah, because they're just playing 4 Demolition Field and 4 Field of Ruin and
Oof.
counting them as sources to some extent, which is not really how Magic works.
They need to get some sunken citadels in there.
Oh, they do have those. Don't worry.
Oh no, no way.
I don't know if you know, like this part of the deck I think is nice. Like you think, how does a red white control deck go up on cards?
Right.
They play 4 Quarry Mountain Monastery,
Ah.
which I think is
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
good
yeah.
in the deck. It's basically all sorceries. It's not like it's bad with you don't have counter spells to flip or stuff like that. So like that
Yeah.
part is good. I think playing a bunch of Quarry Mountain Monasteries in your red white control deck is ideal. But
Yeah.
the maybe you don't have to play 8 Field of Ruins. Maybe play like 5
Maybe cut
or
two
6.
demolition fields. Yeah.
And maybe, your deck that's only 2 colors could play, I don't know, Arid Mesa and Elegant Parlor. Those cards are really good.
They don't play
But
those cards?
no.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. That's my leak for the Pro Tour, I guess,
Okay.
is that Elegant Parlor is really good. And
Surely you don't
you
need
should
all
put it in
of
your red-white control deck.
those
You
land
should,
destruction things.
even if you don't have to fit in that many fetch lands. Like, I'm not asking you to fit in the off-color ones, but just, play 4 Arid Mesa and
And an elegant parlor.
and like 2 Elegant Parlors and 2 Sacred Foundries in your basics. I don't know. That sounds absolutely correct to me.
Yeah. Maybe you don't even need 2 sacred foundries.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, that still sounds like a fun deck. I need to it's funny, I was gonna maybe build a modern deck in real life, and I just built some more standard decks instead because they're
Yeah.
cheaper. I do want to play on Magic Online maybe still, but
Are you
we will
qualified
see.
for the modern RC? Is that what you ended up qualifying for at some point?
No, no, no. I qualified for a standard one that
you
I
didn't
didn't
play.
go to.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. There's some art RCs going around. I had someone who offered to lend me a deck, and I just didn't go.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have. They offered me Living End. How has that panned out after the bans?
I think it's a strong deck that's not that well positioned, but I think what it does is pretty good. I just think some of the top decks are bad matchups, like
Okay.
Goryo's and Tron, and I think even Ruby Storm.
All right. So I guess the format absorbed it pretty well. Do you think it was a good unban
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I
overall?
don't know. You could say that deck kind of sucks. Not like that it's bad, but that it sucks like that it exists because it just does the same thing every game.
Yeah.
And
But
now
it
it's
does
saying
I mean,
outweighs
there's
the
a lot
thing
of
it
decks in
does.
Modern that do that, and at least it widens the scope of those amount of those decks you could play.
Yeah, and if you notice, the decks I said are good against their decks, where I'd say like destroying all of their creatures is not really a thing that matters against them. So that maybe shows you that the power level of Modern requires the card Living End to like be doing the full extent of what it says on the card to like be good.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have to play it in matchups where you're just using it for pressure, that's where it also becomes vulnerable to like graveyard hate or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, the Ruby Storm matchup I think is maybe not intuitive. I don't think it's like a disaster matchup, but like you have all these pitch spells, you have Force Negation and Endurance, which you think is really good against them, and you have Subtlety too for Ral, but like you don't have that much selection over which pitch spells you draw. Mostly the card Ral is really annoying for you because like if their deck's fast, they cast Ral, you could have Subtlety for it. Next turn, they'll cast Ral with a mana up and try to kill you. And Ral is really good at winning through Force Negation and Endurance because
Yeah, that's tough. Okay. Mono Red Storm sounds kind of interesting to me. Like maybe we got a good boost.
Yeah, I mean, this is a like it'll be interesting at this PT where like Ruby Storm got a new toy. So does that make it? And I think that makes the deck better. But like, it's a deck that last time we were in Amsterdam did horribly when it was on the forefront of everyone's minds. So if it's on, if the deck got better, did it really get better
Yeah.
for the tournament? Or did it get worse for the tournament?
If I know anything about Magic players, there's a certain percentage of them that love Storm decks. So I'm sure it'll
Yeah, I
see
mean,
some
at
play.
the last Modern Pro 2, only one person played Storm. I'll say that. So,
Okay. All right. Well, 2 weeks, huh? Is that what the Modern Pro Tour is?
yeah, deck submission is in less than 1 week for me, actually. So,
Yikes. Well, good luck. How's it?
thanks.
You don't have to tell me like specifics, but how is it going for you? Have you found something or?
I there's just no way I won't be packing multiple decks at this point. It's not a lot of decks, not every deck in Modern, but
Yeah.
I have a small handful of decks that I like and I'm staying on top of, and I think I'm just gonna have to pay attention to the metagame as we get closer to deck submission, while also practicing these decks and fine tuning them. Um,
Okay.
that's roughly where we're at. Our team is basically all on the same page. Like there's a few people working on some decks that the rest of us aren't working on, but we have about 4 decks that we're very interested in.
Possibilities. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
it's kind of a nail
but
biter.
it's not like anything's realistically going to happen that makes us decide one of these decks is definitely it.
Yeah. Just not enough time.
Well, yeah, it's just like Modern is so wide, and you ultimately just have to like kind of do a metagame prediction. And I think the best time to do a metagame prediction is like after this weekend
Makes
because
sense.
you'll get a lot more data that way. I also think being it's on the Pro Tour for so long now, you'd be surprised how much just every now and then two people from different teams talk to each other and some things kind of make their way through the woodworks.
Oh, like you figure out what another team is playing,
Not really what
or
they're playing, but maybe that they're just like, we're really scared of Ruby Storm or stuff like that. It's like
I
just these
see.
small little things happen and they build up over time.
And that's like maybe enough to nudge you in one direction or the other.
Yeah, to make kind of to affect your metagame call. Because I think ultimately this happens a lot every PT where like it's just valuable as a team to kind of assess what you think the meta is going to be like, and it's hardest to do as Modern. But assessing that, this has happened with teams I've played on the last year now, and I really like it. It's like basically you make a spreadsheet of like the decks you're considering, and you make a metagame breakdown, and you just kind of input your expected win percentage versus each of the decks in that metagame breakdown, and you just kind of do the math to see which deck would have like the highest expected win percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, you don't know what the metagame will be, and you don't know exactly what your win rates will be against these decks, but it lets you convert your beliefs into something visible to you. And I think that's
Sure.
something really valuable that I hadn't really done before the last year.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never done that.
but it's just nice because like you have all these beliefs, and you could tell people that you think you're a little favored in this matchup or a super unfavored in another matchup, and you think that the field is going to be 11% Boris energy, and you just like kind of break it down, and then in the end you're just kind of like, like I'm considering these 4 decks, and one of them looks like it would have a 55% win rate in my mind, and the other one looks like it would have a 49% win rate in my mind. Stuff like that, like it could
Yeah,
be
and
revealing.
maybe it's not perfect, but it
But it's
could
already
be.
things you believe is the reality. So like sometimes you believe all these things and you don't actually put the pieces of the puzzle together to then
I
internalize like,
see.
oh, like I've been like liking this deck, but like in reality, I think it has these matchups, and this is going to be the metagame. And if I think those things are true, then my deck's just not even good.
Yeah, it's like we're not super good at, you know, anal or com taking all that information and breaking it down.
Yeah,
Um, Probably some things in our psyche get in the way where we decide on other reasons we're not realizing, like why
yeah,
do we want a deck, and then that helps you focus. That makes sense. Do you think that's something
exactly.
an individual person can do, or do you think that's like kind of team specific?
I mean, Andrew Ellenbogen on my team was doing it individually, and then we kind of did it more on Team TCG Player. We did it by averaging. We all submitted privately what we thought our metagame percentage would be, and then we also submitted privately what we thought all of our top decks would be against that. And then Brent Voss on our team averaged all those things, and
Yeah.
then showed us our collective beliefs averaged, which was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Huh. It's
Yeah,
like
and
it's a way
it
to communicate. It's a way to make bad communication better, you know.
yeah, it's also like I think this is people. I haven't really studied math, but I've just been I'm a big fan of math, and I hear all these things from people that study math, and I watch math videos, and like I think getting a group of 15 players' beliefs might actually be very accurate to the expected meta and pretty accurate to the expected win percentages.
I would
Just a
say
law
so.
of large numbers.
It's not
Obviously
like
15 is not a
it's
huge sample, but it's way better than one.
and it's not like it's 15 random players. It's 15 players who are really tuned in.
Yep, exactly.
Um, and it is a lot better one. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you could take it as an example if you were to take the entire Pro Tour field and do that, it'd probably be really accurate.
Yeah, I agree.
So, a microcosm of that might still be decent.
Yeah, my kind of prediction though for modern, generally since the last modern Pro Tour, and I think it'll happen again, is that like not always the top. I think it becomes less diverse at the Pro Tour, where a lot of the other category, let's say I go to Goldfish, I do last 7 days. There's like Boros Energy, Ruby, Storm, Affinity, Eldrazi, Tron, Goryo's, Grixis Reanimator, Is It Prowess, Amulet Titan, Eldrazi, and like Esper Blink. Like, I just think people will gravitate towards decks that I believe are stronger. Like, oh, this is a freebie also, but like, I don't really like the Grixis Reanimator deck. I think Goryo's Vengeance is better. And I think that a lot of the meta share currently of, Grixis Reanimator players will just be Goryo's. Stuff like
Okay.
that. Like I kind of combine like decks, I think, more often is what I kind of see at the Pro Tour more.
Yeah.
And those decks are very similar, so that's obvious. But it might be that like Is It Prowess and Boros Energy? I think are also like decks. They're just like things that attack, and I could see a lot of players coming to a similar conclusion that one of those two decks is better than the other one, and they'll
hmm
just sort of gravitate towards that one kind of collectively, even if they're not on the same team.
Yeah, that does make sense. And it also makes sense as to why, among other reasons, but why like Magic Online is a lot more open. Maybe they've got a lot of other decks that people play. It
Yeah,
reminds me of like old modern GPs. People used to
that's
play all kinds of wild stuff. And I think that's an example of like the opposite where people just play their decks. They're not really
when you click modern metagame on Magic Online or on what MTG Goldfish, it's also just including people who 5 leagues, right? So like,
exactly. So you get a lot of decks that aren't even
yeah,
in the top handful. And it becomes a lot narrower at the Pro Tour. Okay. Well,
well,
little buckshot approach of some topics today, but I hope you all enjoyed. So unfortunately, we will be out of commission for a couple weeks. Wish Jacob luck. I'll be wishing him luck and seeing, watching, paying attention how he does. I will be making weekly uploads still, so pay attention. Mostly arena content, probably, but I'll be considering some creative things I've had in mind. Might not be time for it yet, but
yeah. And
we
if
will
you're
see.
following me in my travels and my tournaments, not only am I playing the Pro Tour, I'm playing the Team Spotlight Series in Brussels the weekend
Lucky
after. Um,
two
and
team tournaments in like 1 month.
yeah, and this time I'll be playing with my Boulder teammates who are new Boulder teammates to me, but they're on my team anyways, and they needed a third. It's Collins Mullen, and Jesse Pilland, which are longtime SCG grinders. So that'll be fun.
Okay, nice. And you haven't played bunch with them before, you said?
No, never like at all. But I've been, in working on them for this Pro Tour anyways, and they both played Vegas, so it seems perfect. They're strong players that'll have been practiced, and they're on my
Yeah,
team anyways.
nice. All right. Well, sounds fun. Um, thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you next time. Okay, I bought this.
Riftbound.
It looks like a board game. I thought it was so well designed. I think it's like four starter decks, and it's like
Oh,
a
cool.
learn how to play. But it's like marketed almost like a board game is with the board game section in the store, and it
Oh,
says you can play 2 to 4 players.
I
Um,
played a little Riftbound, and I've played it 4 players. That's the
oh,
game was
interesting,
originally made to play in China as a 4-player game,
interesting.
and then they
Okay,
popularized it here.
yeah, I think some the competitive tournaments they have here are 1v1 though, right?
Yeah, now it's become a 1v1 game because that's how competitive games should be played.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
Like
There's
unless you played 2v2, team is a little different, but free for
yeah,
all is not really competitive in any kind of game.
no, because it turns into less about the
Political.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
so much political it has to get involved naturally. Now what do you think of Riftbound? I,
I
and-
really have not played it in a long time. Um, it's just not something I've felt like I needed to get into.
yeah,
I haven't really played One Piece either in a long time. One Piece is actually a game, I bought a deck for and played. Riftbound I only played before it came out with people at these Magic events I was at, trying to show people how to play.
Sure. There's been all these new card games coming out, and I feel like it's been a long time since I played another card game, so I feel like I deserve to give myself a shot trying one of them. And Riftbound seemed the most appealing. I mean, I thought
Yeah,
about
a lot of my
all the
Magic
other
friends
things.
like it. It looks cool. Sometimes people point to new games that come out and say that it's more skill intensive, which is never a thing that I actually care about, I guess. I find Magic skill intensive enough. So for you to tell me it's even harder than Magic, I'm like, well, if that's true, I don't know if that's what I want from a game.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, it all kind of depends against the competition. I
Yeah,
imagine the
clearly,
competition.
I think you could just look at a lot of games and know that Magic has, I don't know, more competitive players at the highest level, at least.
Yeah. So
Uh,
honestly, if anything, like Riftbound, let's say I fell in love with it and decided to try real hard at it, I would expect to do. I would expect that maybe my ceiling could potentially be better than it could in Magic. I don't know. Um,
yeah, I mean, I recognize a
I
lot
think
of the
that's a
people that have been
possibility.
winning the Riftbound events, including one of my former teammates, Sam Sherman, has gotten first and second at
Hmm.
two of these large events so far.
Yeah. What one other thing I like about it is it has a resource system that's like I don't know how to play the game, but it seems like it has a resource system that's somewhat similar to Magic, where they have these runes, which is cool.
You have a ruin deck, yeah. It's very similar. One Piece has that too, where you just like have 10 lands in a separate deck.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's pretty common, but it does make me realize one of my favorite parts about Magic is the lands, um, like the art and how they function and all that. And I imagine these runes are much simpler than that, and they're not as cool as Magic lands. So
I think they're just basic lands, right? Basically,
yeah,
like there's only basics and
yeah,
there's different
yeah.
colors, but yeah, that's it.
So we'll see. And the art of them is just like it looks nice, but they're all kind of like
Yeah,
samey, and it's not like Magic where they have the luxury of having a bunch of basically landscape paintings on every piece
yep.
of new land that comes out. So that's really cool.
I've been playing Pokemon Champions on my phone, but trying not to too much. I finally kind of just have like a team that I just only
Okay.
play, So instead of like, so I've stopped thinking about my team because now I just like when I want to play, I'm just like I'll just practice the team that I know.
So if you flop at the Pro Tour, we know why.
I haven't really been playing it that much. I'll play like my daily game. But a lot of Magic players I know have gotten into it. I mean, I would argue, I mean, it makes sense because the Pokemon Company made it, but the Pokemon Champions game on your phone and probably Pokemon Go are the two highest quality apps on a phone of like all time, right? Like at
Nice.
least for games, right?
That's
Like they're
pretty
just,
nice.
I mean, they're made by Pokemon, and yeah, you play the
I
game,
played a
you're
little bit
really
of
impressed.
Pokemon Pocket, and I felt like it was pretty impressive. It really wasn't
Yeah,
my thing, so I didn't keep playing it. But yeah, I mean, they have so much damn money, and
yeah,
they have pretty high standards. I think they do things
definitely.
pretty well, so that's nice to see, honestly. Um, so yeah, cool. What's your six Pokemon on your team now?
Okay, so this is a Mega
Just
Evolution
just for
format.
funsies. Okay.
So
What does that mean? Does
you
you
can
only
put
get
Mega Stones
one?
on Pokemon, and you can Mega Evolve once per fight.
Okay.
And the way double battles works is you have a team of six, but you see the opposing team of six, and you each send out four Pokemon.
All right.
I'm saying all this to preface that it's very normal in current Pokemon meta to have a team that has two Mega Pokemon on it
I see.
because you could pick the one you think is better suited, not because you send them both out.
Right.
So right now I'm playing. This is like a pretty meta team to some extent. It's not like the most meta, but my two Mega Pokemon are Mega Floette, which is kind of the people call it the pay to win Pokemon because you had to beat
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon Legends ZA. Yeah, it's like it's not normally a
I
fully
thought
evolved
I knew all
Pokemon.
the Pokemon.
This is
Who
like
is that?
this is a little flower that's not even fully evolved, but it's like the special main character's flower from the
Oh,
game.
so this must be a new Mega.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
ZA has a bunch of new megas.
All
Um, this is just like a fairy type only Pokemon that just like has some nuking moves, like a spread move and a damage single target damage move. And I play it with
Okay.
Calm Mind, which raises special defense and special attack. So it's kind of like when you set up.
All right.
And then my other megas also set up Pokemon. It's Delphox.
Okay. I know Delphox.
So fire psychic, and it has a fire move and a psychic move, and it has a nasty plot which raises its special attack by 2 stages.
Mm-hmm. This must be a new Mega too. Oh yeah, this is
Yeah,
cool looking.
yeah. Its mega ability is just levitate, so it gets a ground immunity, which is somewhat valuable as a fire type. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then you play Incineroar, which before this game came out, Incineroar was known as the best Pokemon of all time. They nerfed him in this game, but he's slowly creeping back up to maybe be the best Pokemon of all time again.
Does he have? Is it like an ability that makes him crazy, or just a
Yeah, so he's like a support Pokemon in a sense. He has Fake Out. Fake Out is a move you can only use the first turn of Pokemon's in play, and it has like it goes before other moves, and it makes the opposing Pokemon flinch. So it kind of like does a little bit of damage, not really that much, but it's not nothing, and then makes them skip their turn.
Okay.
One of the two Pokemon. But then it's comboed with the fact that he has Intimidate. When he sends out into battle, he lowers the attack of the opposing two Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
And then he has Parting
I like
Shot,
that
which is a
move.
move that lowers attacks of opposing Pokemon and lets you get a switch out as part of the move. So he's just really good at switching in and out of the battle. And each time he switches in, he could use Fake Out again. And he
Okay.
does Intimidate. So he's just
So
kind of really supportive.
it's kind of an ability thing. It's not just like a raw stats thing, then.
Yeah, no, he's built to be a tank.
Okay.
But he has high base attack damage, so his damage is not like ignorable either.
Gotcha.
And then I have Sneasler, which
Hmm.
is Arceus.
I like that guy.
Also a Fake Out Pokemon, but this one's a bit more like ready to hurt, like ready to deal some damage. It's just like fighting poison, and it has Fake Out and a fighting move and a poison move, basically.
Yeah.
And then, so those are like, they're a form of speed control to have two Fake Out Pokemon. Speed control is the idea that you'll attack before your opponent or use more moves than them, in this case.
All right.
Attacking before your opponent is just the best thing you can do in Pokemon because, you know, if you KO their Pokemon before they attack or stuff like that, then you're just up moves. It's kind of like casting spells and magic, like
Sure. So the name of that is like speed. So you have high speed stats, and then you're doing like control type effects, basically.
yeah, I'm doing more controlling type effects, but there's like two very common moves in this game. One of them is called Tailwind, which doubles your team's speed for the next 4 turns.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is called Trick Room, which reverses the speed turn order. So those are other forms of speed control. I'm kind of in the middle where I'm not using those. Well, I do have Trick Room, but I'll explain that later. But I'm just like using Fake Out to try to get more moves off than my opponent is.
Okay.
Last
Okay.
Pokemon is King Gambit, which I think is one of the two basically like baseline statted strong Pokemon in the game, and its typing works out really well with mine. Notably, King Gambit has a move called Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch, like if you use it on a Pokemon, they have to have chosen like a damaging move that turn, but you'll hit before them, basically. And Sucker Punch fails if they weren't trying to use a damaging move. Very flavorful.
Mm-hmm.
King Gambit is Dark type, which is the same type as Sucker Punch, and has the highest attack stat of any Pokemon that can learn Sucker Punch in the game. So it just has like the ability to one-shot Pokemon sometimes if you correctly call your Sucker Punches.
Gotcha.
And then it's Steel and Dark, which does have a 4x weakness, but like Steel and Fairy, for example, are like two of the best types in the game, and Steel is a really good thing to be able to switch into with a Fairy type because it resists the things that Fairy's weak to.
Does resist a lot. Okay. Cool. I noticed these are all like stage 2 guides. Is that pretty common that you just have the max evolution of everybody?
In Pokemon Champions, that's all there is. But
Okay.
also, yes. even
Or
if they-
sometimes you have like a basic, right? Like I imagine you could have a Snorlax or something like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, Snorlax is its max evolution, but yes, I've played Snorlax in the game.
Yeah, but everything's max evolution too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for the Floette is weird. It's not just Floette. It's called Eternal Flower Floette. It's basically a legendary. It's people's biggest complaint about Pokemon Champions right now, I'd say, is that you can only get it by playing and beating another video game that costs money to play. So in a sense, it's pay to win.
I see. What Pokemon players don't play all the Pokemon games?
Apparently, many of them. The reviews on Pokemon Champions on the app stores are not surprising, I guess. It's just a bunch of people being like, this isn't actually a game. It's just for battling. And it's free. It's free, by the way.
But it's free. Yeah.
So, like,
Not worth it. Not worth the free. Yeah.